Good evening and welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. I am Mike Ackelson along with Anthony Hartwig. Hey, week one Friday night did not disappoint. We had a couple great games. We had a lot of blowouts, though.
And a lot of games that we thought would be great that kind of started out great and then ended up as a blowout.
Yeah, it's weird how those things work sometimes. And I know we got guys getting ready to call in.
We're going to start off with Donnie Riccatelli coming in for us on Boardman. And he had a fantastic game.
Donnie, welcome into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. What a game you guys had up in Boardman tonight.
Let me tell you, a completely unexpected game. We didn't know what kind of team Boardman would have this year. And, they lost to this team 50-17 last year on a running clock. And my goodness, it was one of those things where their new wing tee, when you say new wing tee, which is hilarious, their new wing tee offense just stymied Kenston all night. They used 6 different running backs. They just, anytime Kenston they had something, Boardman would answer. It was a great night for the Boardman Nation, Spartan Nation.
How about the 2 defensive stands after they take the lead? Because you're thinking they're going to run the clock out, and then you get a bad punt. But boy, those 2 defensive stands they made, Donnie, massive.
Well, and typically in the last few years, those breaks have not fallen Boardman's way, and especially when 2 kids are running toward one another and they collide, and we still intercept the football. That never happens for Boardman. It happened tonight. Can't be any prouder of these kids. I mean, they fought the entire night. It was great.
Donnie, that was the first big defensive stop. What about the second one? They get that big sack, hold Kenston
Mason
like a
17. Mason Naraki, two big plays defensively. The series before he actually was cramping up, had to come out of the game, went right back in and just made 2 monstrous stops. I mean, the one was a sack, and the other one he turned the quarterback the other way and he dropped them. So it was beautiful.
How big is this win?
Kenston is the real deal. That quarterback's going to go big time Division I baseball, and he was throwing the ball 45 yards off the back of his foot. I mean, he's the real deal. But go ahead, Mike, with your question.
Just how big is this win for the Spartans? Because this kind of sets the table now.
I mean, it does. It really does. You go into this game, and there were a lot of people that thought that this was going to be another running clock situation for the Spartans, and not giving them 1 ounce of a chance. And just to see that it wasn't just one person to step up and make the plays tonight. It was a huge amount of 26 seniors. All joining together with some big time juniors. I mean, it just was so special to see, like a kid like Marcus Rutledge returning the football on kickoff returns. He averaged probably 35 yards at kickoff return tonight, putting the Spartans in huge position to score. And Zach Haas, first throw of the game was an interception. Was kind of a bad route interception, but he did so much with his feet tonight to extend the drives and keep everybody alive. So just a big win. The confidence for these guys to go into next week. They have a daunting task heading up to Uniontown Lake. But again, you're going up there 1-0, and it makes a big difference.
Now let's preview that game a little bit. I think Uniontown Lake went into overtime tonight. They got a big test this week as well. What's it going to take for Boardman to keep momentum going to Uniontown and get a win against the Blue Streak?
I think the message this year for Boardman needs to be we're all in it together. They got to play together, and it's not going to be up to one person. And tonight it was up to everybody. It was so nice to see one person after another make plays. I mean, Vincent Butto scoring around the end to tie the game up, and then Kostas Severko to finally make the extra point. That was another thing tonight with the extra points. I mean, there was not an extra point made until the final one because of unsportsmanlike penalties. They were kicking 35-yard extra points, and neither team could do it. But it's one of those things where you go into this game next week and it's everybody together, and you play like a team. It's true team football, which is going to be really, really, I would say, the message for the rest of the year.
Perfect, man. We do appreciate you checking in with us afterwards. And I even called you out. I'm like, I know we got to hear from Donnie tonight.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime. I tell you what, it was fun. It was a lot of fun to call it tonight, for sure.
Let's hope you have 9 more weeks like this.
Hey, that would be great, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in, Donnie. We appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Donnie Riccatelli on the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard Show. Boardman, what a gritty win, right?
Absolutely. Win. I mean, new wing T. And it's funny when you hear people say that because that's been one of the offenses that's been around forever.
Yeah,
but
so
the fact that
wing T is kind of like an oxymoron.
Yeah. But the fact that Boardman went to it, used 6 different backs, and that Kenston didn't have an answer for that is what amazes me. That's a good football team. And like Donnie said, this is a good win. Great momentum builder for Boardman. And now it's what do you do when you go to week 2?
Defense unsung hero. They were down 18-6. Their defense had to make stops for them to be able to come back.
Yeah.
They did. They continued to make big stops. That big interception we saw. And then the final stop holding Kenston to a 4th and 17 kind of desperation play.
So we're not going to waste any time. My man, Eric Hughes, he's hanging out.
Told you he'd be on.
I knew he'd be here, and he should be, because in that game, Lowville and Columbiana combined for 89 points tonight. That was one of them things, and we were kind of curious. What were the Rockets going to bring to the table? Eric, you had the front row seat for that one, man. What was that game like to call?
It's funny. Michael Ballone's dad, Michael, was obviously the quarterback for Lowville last year. He's been raving about for like a year, I'd say, how good Ricky Roach is going to be at quarterback after Michael graduates. And he was just that tonight. Had 3 passing touchdowns, looked confident out there, was slinging it in his first start. Then you also had Gino Perry in the backfield with 4 touchdowns of his own. And then also, on Columbiana's end, you had Spencer Pruitt. And although they lost, he had 5 touchdowns, including a receiving touchdown. They didn't have phone recovery late in the game. And have to give your hat off to him as well.
Well, Eric, this is kind of unique how the game went from our perspective sitting here. We broke away from it. We were like, this game's over, and all of a sudden I flipped back through my iPad. I was just checking out games. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We got a game here again. What changed? It kind of brought Columbiana back into it. And I give Lowville all the credit because now you got to put your foot back on the gas pedal.
Lowville's defense, they played great early on. Toward the end of the second quarter, I'd say things kind of started going off the rails for him. But again, it's a very young defense. There's going to be growing pains. But they did get the game-winning interception at the very end off Gino Perry. Also had to take on defense along with the 4 touchdowns. They also had some other unforced errors like offsides. Then on the offensive end, they had a couple of false starts. But, offense was too good was too good tonight. And it was just enough for them to pull out the victory.
As if 4 touchdowns wasn't enough. Let's add a game-sealing interception, right? Talk about that last touchdown drive, too. Columbiana gets it all the way back to a 1-score game. Kind of a do-or-die situation for the offense. What did you see that last drive as the nail in the coffin?
Gino Perry, that entire game, he was dominating the ground, but Columbiana, they kind of figured out there toward the end. They had to put the ball in Ricky's hands and correct him. Yet he threw the game-winning touchdown pass right down to Josh Pazel. And also, my camera cut out the first drive of the game. It was annoying, but Josh Pazel also had a one-handed catch in double coverage. And I feel really bad that couldn't make it on the air. Then he also had another catch in triple coverage late on. Lowville's a couple of good weapons also. You have Pazel, then you have Nick LaRosa at receiver. But, great team win for him, honestly.
You persevered, Eric, like all YSN men do. And you got the final plays of the game on camera, which is what matters the most. So congratulations on a great call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you calling in. Hopefully you get another great week ahead of you coming up here for the Rockets.
Lowville's actually going to Toronto next week, but I'll be at Mohawk next week for their home opener.
Mohawk had a pretty wild game today, so I think you're in for a treat next week.
You should be in for a treat. You want to talk about another high-scoring game. They lost in Neshannock tonight, 42-37. So
I feel bad we couldn't get there, honestly, because Neshannock and Mohawk's one of is a really good rival. They're like the Stros and Pole in the Western PA. Feel bad we couldn't get there, but I'll be excited to be in the booth next week.
All right. We're looking forward to it, buddy.
Yep.
All right, Eric Hughes joining us. He called that Louisville Columbiana game. Go to Electric Scoreboard Show. Mike Eccleston, Anthony Hartwig with you. And we have a comment from our good friend Radar Pavlov.
Yeah. Radar already chiming in. Radar, trust me, we were not going to miss the best part of week one being East Palestine getting their first opening win since 2016, man. That was absolutely a massive win for the Bulldogs and a great way to start the season.
A dominating win. I mean, it wasn't like a close, so they kind of fluked it out. It was like, no, the Bulldogs were far and away the better team from the start of the game to the end of the game.
Yeah. And we'll give Radar his due. He said he called the big upset. His upset special of the week, and he said that he was going to get it done, and I guess he got it right, Pie Valley over Mineral Ridge.
The only thing I'll say for Radar is, hey, your upset picks only count if you're in the studio during audible call.
Yeah, it doesn't count, Radar. Sorry, buddy.
We miss you, buddy. Come on down with Scotty. We'll have some fun.
Yeah, there you go. We missed you here tonight. So
you want to bring up the scoreboard?
Yeah, let's bring up the scoreboard. We'll start cruising through the scores.
Scoreboard on ysnlive.com/scores, and it is proudly presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. And let's get it full screen for you guys. And I'll just go from Mike to see it over here.
There we go. We will start it off. We'll go across. We got Struthers all over Beaver Local. The Wildcats came out firing tonight, Anthony. They never looked back in that one.
Yeah, and this one kind of made me sound silly because pregame I was like, well, Struthers is kind of a slow tempo offense. They want to slow the game down, and they came out with a high flying offense that kind of ran the ball all around the field.
And
so they proved me wrong.
Yeah. And how about West Branch? Big win for them to start the season as they get past Canfield 27-7.
This was when they all circled. They felt like they could have won Canfield games in the past, and they wanted to send a statement. And Jeremiah Thomas, a good game from him. First day as a quarterback, you have to open against Canfield, replacing Bo Alasas, and he does a really good job for West Branch.
Yeah, he played a great game. So kudos to the Warriors as they get off on a good start. But I think Canfield, we'll hear from them as the season goes on. East Liverpool, they fall to Carrollton tonight. 2013, the final from that contest. And the Potters had their chances, but Carrollton just seemed to make the big plays in this one.
I was told all offseason by coaches inside the EBC of teams we cover, West Branch and Salem, hey, Carrollton's a sleeper in this conference. I know Alliance is right there. Everyone's talking about Alliance, but you can't forget about Carrollton. They're putting together a really strong roster this year, and they're looking to have a rejuvenated football program.
Well, week one, goal accomplished. Okay. And we moved from there, as we were talking earlier, and Eric Hughes was on, 51-38, Lowville over Columbiana. This turned into a shootout. Looked like it was going to be a blowout, but it ended up being a shootout. Columbiana at one point cut the deficit to 5 and almost got the ball back.
And I'll tell you what, one thing we know about Columbiana, historically good defense. So they're going to look at that 51 and be a little bit, working hard in practice. If Coach Spate,
oh yeah,
it's going to get them fired up about, hey, we can't let 51 points in the scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely. They got to own that one. All right, so we continue along the scoreboard now.
You want to go back to the left or just down straight?
We can go
all the way back.
Okay, we'll go all the way over. And Perry, the defending state champs.
Yep.
Yeah, they flexed their muscles right out of the gate as they beat Madison 42-10. The Pirates. Mm-hmm. That's a team we're going to get to see a lot of as they are now a member of the YSN family.
And can't wait. Unfortunately, we got there tonight. We were expected to be there, but Madison just had other plans. And
shame on them.
Shame on them.
That's shame on them because it would have benefited the kids, the band, the schools. Right. So, and how about Garrettsville, Garfield? There's nothing I can say except the G-men.
G-men are the G-men, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to score with that run game. Have big plays. It's a misnomer when you watch their offense. Oh, they're 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But no, they get those big running plays because they trade space, and they have athletes that are running backs. So,
well, and they may have 2 or 3 plays where it is at 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but all of a sudden something pops just right, and that 3-yard play turns into a 47-yard touchdown run or a 57-yard run that sets them up 1st and goal short.
I want to give props to Edgewood, though. They fought really hard. They were able to score quite a bit against a very good defense in Garrettsville Garfield. I think in Ashtabula County, when they start playing their county teams, Edgewood will have a good foothold.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a good learning lesson for Edgewood. Austintown Fitch, they opened the season with a win against Euclid, 49-12. We checked that one out. It was close for a little bit, but when the Falcons decided it was time to fly and soar, they didn't miss a beat. They took that game over, and they made sure Euclid had no chance of ever coming back in it. So,
yeah, and I think, when Fitch is home, they're even that much more hard to beat.
Yeah, and then a game that we thought had the potential to put up a lot of points, and it did. It was Girard Jefferson. These two have lit up the scoreboard for years. I wish Jefferson was still in that conference, quite frankly, and they're not anymore. But Girard, 56 points tonight. That's the way to open the season for the Indians offense.
It's funny. The last year they were in it was one of the best years they had in football, so they kind of had the swan song. But it's nice to see the old school rivalries come back.
Yeah, I'm glad they're still playing somebody from there, so that one works out well. All right, so we move along our scoreboard, and we will go to Hubbard and Brookfield. And early on in this game, it was a slugfest,
13-12.
And as soon as Hubbard got their wheels, got their wings, whatever you want to say, the Eagles never looked back in this one.
This has to make Hubbard feel really good because remember last year their defense was excellent. Their offense struggled mightily. So to put up 42 in the first game of the season has to make everybody in Hubbard feel pretty good.
Well, and the nice thing is a lot of guys got to play in this game because of the score. So that's the one thing I know Coach wants to do up there. He gets to plug some guys in, and that'll help them down the road. Moving along, that game we were talking with Donnie Riccatelli about Boardman. 1918, they beat Kenston. A year ago, they gave up 50 points to Kenston. So if you look at that, that's a big swing,
Donnie Riccatelli said it. It's not like Kenston lost their whole, roster. They brought back a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
This Boardman team just believes in themselves right now.
It's a 32-point swing from what they gave up. So kudos one to the Boardman defense. You held them to 18 because that's a pretty good offense. I can pretty much tell you, you look around week 11, pretty sure Kenston will be playing.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then one of the other games of the night up out of Ashtabula County, I believe, East Lake North and Lakeside. Lakeside leads this game late. East Lake North gets the touchdown, gets the extra point, takes the lead. And what's Lakeside do? They drive the field and punch in the big one.
The difference between teams that get a few wins and a team that gets into the playoffs, can you make those game-winning plays in clutch situations? Week 1, Lakeside did. And if we're talking about Lakeside as a playoff team down the road, if they get 5 or 6 wins, we're going to look at this one and say, man, how important was that? Because they lose and they're on the teeter spot of that playoff.
Yeah.
It could have gone the other way.
Yeah. And it's weird that we're already saying playoffs, but there's some wins that are just massive because the points you're going to get down the road from this.
In football, every week counts.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we move along. How about McDonald? They go up to champion tonight. No problem. And we're used to McDonald running, and you said it on the audible call tonight. How are they scoring?
22-yard pass play for a touchdown. We're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
McDonald?
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute. That's not the Blue Devils team that I know. But that is a good sign that if they can pass, oh boy, they're going to be able to gouge some teams this year. I think that's a good win for McDonald. Go on the road, you open with a win. You got to like that.
They're a very proud football program that's had a couple of transitional years trying to get back to the McDonald glory that they have been.
There's a way of life around McDonald, and it starts
Coach
with
Williams
that football
down there.
program. Yes,
Coach Williams does that.
absolutely. And then here's one that kind of surprised me. I thought it would be a tough game. I didn't think Cardinal Mooney would get shut out by Mentor Lake Catholic.
The offense just couldn't quite get rolling.
It seemed like they moved the ball very well between the 30s, but it's once they got inside Mentor Lake's 30, things kind of stiffened up for them tonight. I mean, we'll give Mentor Lake Catholic credit. They walked into Stanball Stadium, and it's nice to see Cardinal Mooney playing back at Stanball Stadium. I know they hadn't for a few years, but that's a game Mooney's going to look back and be like, we'll see the adjustments they make into week 2.
And their defense played really well. I mean, you held the team to 14 points 9 times out of 10 in high school football.
You're
14
in that.
is enough to win.
Yeah. But maybe that's a good Mentor Lake Catholic team
Right.
also. So we got to give them a little bit of credit, even though I don't want to. All right. Pie Valley, Mineral Ridge. Radar said that was his upset special of the week. So we'll give it to him, even though he didn't come on the show and actually say it. So I predicted that Boardman would win tonight.
Yeah.
Did I? No, I wasn't on the show.
You
I'm
weren't
just
on
kidding.
the studio.
I'm just kidding. But Pie Valley at Mineral Ridge, they slugged it out for a while.
Yeah.
And it was back and forth. Pie Valley finally gained the momentum. They got enough to spread it away, but just a good win for their program to start. And you got to remember, Mineral Ridge is trying to replace a guy who was the bulk of their offense a year ago.
Once again, I'm pulling this number out of my head. I have no factual proof this, but he was about 85% of their offense last year. He and Herb out there. I mean, he scored so many touchdowns for them. A lot of their scoring came from him. So they were trying to find ways to succeed, and they did. I mean, they put up 27, so they found offense that's not quite enough.
Yeah. And then Louisville and New Philly. Whew, tough one for the Leopards tonight because they're driving. I'm thinking they're inside the 30. I'm like, here we go. They're going to mount this. And, nope. New Philly's defense stands up late and makes some big plays.
They had a fourth and about 3 or 4 down in New Philadelphia territory. They went for it. It did not go their way. And that's how the game was sealed.
And then the other biggie we were talking about, East Palestine, 45-14. Like you said earlier, this wasn't a squeaker. This isn't one they pulled out on some miracle play. Bulldogs came ready. There was some chips on their shoulder apparently because it's been 8 years since they walked off the field week 1 a winner.
Yeah, and Iriauchi played fantastic as the quarterback for East Palestine. I saw him rolling out a lot. I love quarterbacks that can throw on the run, and he looks poised. He's a senior. He's returning as a quarterback. He's been in this system for a while. Really good to see East Palestine just dominate. I don't think we've said East Palestine and dominate in quite some time.
I want to see where this brings them into week 2,
right.
Week 3. How much do they build upon this win?
What do they do in the EUAC?
Yeah. Let's see. And like I say, though, it's a great start, but now you got to build upon that. So we move along, and Cheney, a winner over Akron East. This was a defensive war for the most part. I know we saw a good bit of it back here. I mean, they were slugging out. Cheney actually got turned away a couple times inside the red zone. And I'm thinking, wow, Akron East is just hanging. It was 14-6 for the longest time. Cheney put the game away in the 4th. That's a good win for the Cowboys.
We were watching, and we were like, the size on the field right now is unreal. Both these teams had just big boys playing in the middle of the defense and offense.
Yeah, it was a good win. And how about Poland? Business as usual for the Bulldogs. Come out, and this is kind of a rivalry game.
Oh, yeah.
As I look at it, if you're from Poland, you want to beat Salem. If you're from Salem, you'd live to beat Poland. And the Bulldogs they come out, they took care of business at home, and they walk off that field, feeling pretty good about themselves after week 1.
Talk about rivalry games. I mean, I went to South Range. I know how deep this one runs in the alumni.
Yeah.
This goes back to even before South Range was South Range, back when they were the North Lima Zippers. It was a big rivalry with Springfield. So,
I've seen some of the best football games I've seen in my time in the Youngstown area involve Springfield, South Range, and against each other.
Back in the 90s. I remember when Springfield had the Schuler boys. Yeah. And the one, I forget the first name. One of the Schulers was like their punter, punt returner, quarterback, field goal kicker, like everything you could be.
Yeah.
He was Mr. Do-It-All. But this one, we watched it. South Range got off really early, got off a big lead, and then Springfield got some momentum with that big kickoff return, set up deep, scored a touchdown. What did South Range do to walk off into halftime?
Yeah.
Kickoff return for a touchdown.
They literally looked at Springfield and said, oh, that's cute. That's nice. Hold my Gatorade. Watch this. And they just took that. How often do you get to say walk off kick return for a touchdown as time expires in half? South Range can take that off their bingo card list this year.
I'll take your almost kickoff return for a touchdown that sets up a touchdown, and I'll raise you a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was pretty much anything you can do. We can do one better, and we'll give the Raiders credit. Big win, good win to start the season. That Springfield team's still going to win a lot of games.
Springfield going forward, Sean Guerrero 4 wins away from becoming the all-time leading winner for coaches in Springfield.
Yeah, they'll definitely bounce back. Tough one for Southern Local tonight as they fall to Union Local 34-20. Southern had some opportunities in this game, but just could not make the big play when they needed it.
Turnovers hurt them too. We saw them fumble deep in Union Local territory.
Yeah, so that one's a tough one. As we move along, United, hey, good win for them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to love this. I mean, your offense puts up 27. Your defense says, how about a shutout?
Yep.
You'll take that week 1 any day.
And Minerva's a team, we're usually talking about them getting beat up like 65-2 or 65-6. So to see even that team, who not a YSN school, but someone that we get to watch
we see a lot.
It's just nice to see them make some good strides towards good. So they played formidable football tonight, which is something that you couldn't used to say about Minerva's teams.
Tough one for Latonia as they open up a new era under Coach Altamar again. But Fairport Harding just went there and they flexed their muscles. And, let's see how Latonia does moving into week 2, what adjustments they make, how much better they can improve their play.
Got to be mentally tough. You're going to take your lumps. You're gonna have some adversity. You got to come into every week and wash out the week prior.
And Wyndham definitely went down to Lisbon and dropped a bomb on them.
We've been talking about Lisbon this whole offseason. In the last 2 years, Wyndham was hit by the injury bug probably more than anybody else on the YSN network. They finally felt like they were healthy this year. They have almost everyone back that they were missing the other years. And they wanted to prove like, hey, we are better than our record really put the last 2 years because we're healthy. And they kind of proved it tonight. They went to a 7-win Lisbon team last year.
Yeah.
And they put them on blast.
And we can update. This is a final score now. 58-34 LeBray. That is a final in.
That one went late.
Late. That one I didn't think was going to end. I mean, when you talk about that, 92 points be put up on that scoreboard. So we all see how that one worked out. But, hey, let's give LeBray all the credit in the world. They can score some points. They're going to want to shore up that defense moving forward.
Yeah, and then so I talked about this on the show today, Running Point. We just need to see consistency at LeBray because we saw plenty of good weeks last year for them, and then they come out the next week and they wouldn't look like the same team. So I'm really interested to see the next 2 weeks in the non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
If that consistency is there.
Yeah, let's see how they can put that one together. So we'll move along. And what do we got here?
Looks like we have Derek Rhodes coming in.
Okay.
And he's going to be talking to us about the
United Minerva.
Game.
Okay.
So let's get him up and talk with him.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Derek Rhodes. You got to
Gentlemen,
see
how are we doing this evening?
We are good. We got to see that United team. They look pretty good out of the gate. That defense, that you pitch a shutout week 1, you got to be ready.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. There was a big question with the offense and the defense. 3 returning starters only on the offense, 5 on the defense. And, boy, they came to play tonight. Say what you want about Minerva. That team's got a lot of heart. And a little factoid for you boys. The last win Minerva had, October 23rd, 2020, was against those same Eagles. But throw that out the window, 27-0.
That's a stat.
Yeah,
that is a
I
stat.
Like that. Talk about the way the offense played, though, tonight.
So, offensively, they have some meat up front, and that spread offense in Hanoverton, just insert new parts. Lose Luke Courtney, lose Andrew Ogilvy, insert Parker Newbern, insert Colin Wells, and it's 27 points on the board.
Yeah, I want to talk about the defense, though. I mean, pitching a shutout. Like you said, Minerva or not, anytime you can hold the team to 0 points, you're doing something right.
They did. Landon Casto with 2 big interceptions tonight. A stop on 4th and 2, which led to a 64-yard Parker Newborn rushing touchdown to blow it open. The defense did come to play tonight for United. One problem, 4 turnovers for Coach Ogilvy's offense. They got to clean that up moving forward.
I know Coach Ogilvy. That'll be the first thing he addresses when they watch the film this week.
Absolutely. And another caveat, they've got a kicker down there now. Luke Courtney left, but they made 3 out of 4 PATs tonight. So the kicking game is safe in United as well.
That's a big shadow to live up to, though, when you're talking Luke Courtney and the things that he was able to do with his foot.
Absolutely. Now, I need help from you guys back in the studio. The only team I saw in the EAOC that was winning at halftime was my Palestine Bulldogs. Can you confirm that?
They did.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
And did anybody else in the EAOC take a win tonight?
No, Valley Christian lost. East Palestine lost. East Palestine won. Lisbon lost. Latonia lost. Columbiana lost. Wellsville's playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think Wellsville tomorrow. But if Wellsville doesn't pull it off, then EP and United are the only EOAC teams with a win in week 1.
So that's the way Coach Ogilvy wanted to start the season. All was well in Hanoverton after week 1, boys.
All is well. in that world of its own that I call Hanoverton, where you're in a completely different whole commute. Like when you go down there, it's like you've entered a whole new world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you what. Hey, that's a haul back up from Minerva too, boys. That was a one heck of a drive. Yeah, in the dark coming up Route 30. That ain't no fun.
Hey, in the dark. You're still in the dark, buddy.
Your last name's Rhodes for a reason, right? Your last name's Rhodes for a reason, right?
So there's one more thing, too. The United gets back home. They're one of the only teams on natural turf, and they like to keep that stuff just high enough to trip up opposing offenses. So home field advantage for the Eagles as well, boys.
No,
United.
They don't pull
I'm
that
telling you,
United.
start the train. Start the train. Here comes the Eagles.
All right.
You'll be there for all of it. We appreciate your time and appreciate your calling. The Eagles all the way down to Minerva, like you said, that's a heck of a trek, and we appreciate you being there for YSN.
Not a problem, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Derek. You too. Appreciate
Take
calling.
care. Yes, sir.
I love my man Ty. He was calling balls and strikes, but he still had his eye on football. I know he was very interested in that Fitch game tonight.
He was itching.
I love what he put. The Bombers felt disrespected. Senior heavy. This is the year. Watch out for Coach Jake I's squad. And then United and EP tied for first in the EOAC. Madness indeed. And Ty, we know you have good relationships with Wyndham doing their coaches' corners for the last couple of years, so we know he was happy to see the Bombers come out with a big win like that. It's been great. So, all right, let's flip back to that scoreboard. We'll try to wrap some of that up for you.
Let's get it up. Let's get it
we'll
back
to see if we can get it up here.
Yep, we got it. And this is gonna make it full screen real quick, and then I'll.
There we go. All right, so
we were at Waterloo. Waterloo. The win over Akron Springfield.
Yeah, good win for Waterloo. Yeah. Good way to start the season.
The first of 2 Springfields that are going to be on their schedule because they're in the same conference as the Tigers. So
I thought another impressive win is Lakeview shutting out Holy Name.
Ooh.
Very impressive win for them to start out the season. And a tough one, Archbishop Spalding from Maryland doubles up Archbishop Hoban.
Yeah, 28-14. Hoban's schedule big and tough, and that's the things that can happen when you do that.
Well, they're probably still feeling the sting
right.
of a state loss that they felt they probably should have won. And then we just want to let you know, Garfield and Southeast play tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
So they will play tomorrow. And then, as we talked about earlier, Camel shutting out St. Thomas Aquinas. Good win for the Red Devils.
A massive win.
Go on the road. And again, like I say, it's great that they put up 48 points. We know the offense was clicking, but it's the fact that your defense walks away there perfect on the season.
Andrew King's been on YSN twice in 2 different coaches' corners already, and he just talks about the seniors of this team and how they're built a little different. They have a little bit of a different attitude this year. They want to win for Andrew King. It's his 4th year. So these seniors are people that he had as freshmen when he started. So they've gone through this journey with him. And they're just really hungry to go out there and win for him and for Campbell.
Well, I'm glad they started with a win because they've taken their lumps the last few years. Let's see if they can build on this one. We go across the border over to Western PA. Neshannock wins a shootout over Mohawk, 42-37. And that's a great game week 1 because it's a rivalry game.
As high scoring as it was, nothing scored in the 4th quarter. That was the score at the end of 3.
Yeah.
4th quarter defense is locked down.
And then another good win to start the season, Orange, beating Beechwood 44-6.
Not yet did we get to say until tonight. We're going to come off the Orange game because Orange was winning by a lot. They dominated tonight. Yeah.
So that was perfect. And then Malvern, 20 points better than Valley Christian tonight.
This game was close for a minute. It was 14-0 at halftime, but Malvern does too much in the second half for Valley.
Yeah. So there's a rundown of all the scores. So you got all that pinned out. We've had some great calls in from our guys tonight. And, you can't beat it.
Cannot beat it. And week 1 in the books, well, except for the games tomorrow.
Yeah, got a few games. You always know where to tune in for them, right?
YSNlive.com/live. Tomorrow's a busy day because we have football, volleyball, boys and girls soccer. So we'll have all those sports covered for you on YSN.
Now, we are going to tell you this. We're going to wrap things up tonight. But, hey, while we're finishing up ours, in roughly about 15 minutes or so, probably about 17, 18 minutes, you're going to want to tune in to my good friends at WFMJ for the overtime report. Dana Balish, Brittany Bissell, 31 years strong, and I was part of that for a long time.
Yep.
Please tune in, watch. They will have several games, highlights. They've got you covered, and we're glad, we're associated with them, and so make sure you tune in and watch them, and you'll get to see a lot more highlights.
We're proud to be a lead-in, right?
Yeah, we lead in for them. We set the table.
Right.
They serve it up.
It's going to be fun. Make sure to tune into that. And we'll be back next week for the Audible Call week 2.
We will be back week 2, Audible Call. We'll have the week 2 Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. And the Scoreboard is sponsored by Burnett Poles and Spas. So we got all that covered. And big shout out to all our sponsors here at YSN. If you'd like to become a sponsor, hey, all you got to do is reach out to us.
Yep.
We'll be glad to bring you aboard because we've always got room for more. And we'll be looking to have a lot of games. I can't wait to week 2. That's when things really get cooking back here in the studio. And, you don't need to see my ugly face all the time. I don't mind if Anthony's on, but I've been around. You'll hear my voice. We'll be talking. I loved it tonight. We went 4 cameras on 1 shot. That was perfect. We can get to the 4-box effort.
We're going places, guys.
Yeah, we're doing things. So we're glad you tuned in. We hope you have a great night. But hey, tune over to WFMJ and get ready to watch the overtime report.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.